Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. As you can see, I'm right outside State Farm Stadium one day before Miami takes on Ole Miss at the Fiesta Bowl in the semifinal. I can't believe it's finally coming up here. And after I'm done doing this video, I'm gonna go inside and check it out. And I'm gonna put together a video so you can see what the stadium looks like inside with the end zones, the logos, and just kind of what the seating looks like if you've never been inside this stadium. So, I'm gonna show you that video. Also too, I just wanna point out, the days that I've been here, it's been great. The Phoenix area looks wonderful. And for people that haven't been to this area, I'm gonna show a few video clips of just the scenery, the mountains and the trees and the cactus. It just, everything looks great here. It looks so much different than in Miami. And it's been a great experience so far. So definitely just wanna pass that along. And everybody with the Fiesta Bowl has been super helpful. With the media, for myself personally, it's been great being able to provide plenty of coverage leading up to it. So just a few notes. If you haven't seen the video, I already posted it, but after practice yesterday, Adidas, Mark Fletcher kind of introduced it, but Adidas gave the team new gear, that before leading up to the game. So you got to check out that video as Mark kind of introduces the new gear. So that's pretty cool. Also too, today the team had a walkthrough at the stadium. So again, they're getting a chance to see what the stadium looks like as they're preparing. And speaking of preparation, quarterback Carson Beck mentioned, after his media day responsibilities yesterday, that he was going to go back and watch about 2 or 3 hours of film. Again, just trying to get as much information on Ole Miss as possible. And a few things that he kind of singled out of things that he's going to be really studying or things he likes to focus on is a lot of this situational stuff. What does Ole Miss like to do, third and longs or second and long, first down, whatever it might be, red zone type stuff. But Carson likes to find some tendencies there. And he also said, he's going to even day of the game, he's going to watch a game or two, just some final touch up things. And he also made a note that, look, he's got plenty of freedom at the line of scrimmage in the game. Shannon Dawson's given him a lot of freedom, but also too, and Shannon has said this too, just multiple times, that Carson does a really good job of when he comes off the sideline from a game, during a game, when they're about to look at the iPad, it really checks out. Essentially what Carson's seeing on the field is exactly what it looks like on the iPad, and Carson and him go over some things. So you see the freedom there that Shannon has given Carson, but Carson also said, look, they've been on the same page, essentially leading up to a game. So it's not like he's just calling, if he does make an audible or whatever it might be, a check to something else. It's not just based on nothing. It's something that they have talked about leading up to game week. And I expect that to be the same, obviously, for this game in particular. One of the things that has stood out to me with this team, particularly the last few weeks, as some of these guys have really been explaining their stories more and more and their journeys to get to where they're at. This team, and I've talked to other reporters about that this week, they just seem to have a lot of really good guys. Guys that care about their teammates, care about the process, not the individuality. They care about winning and all the right things that you want in a teammate. And, when I say that, you think about guys like Mark Fletcher, really personifies the team. He really exemplifies everything that Mario Cristobal wants in his program. And Mark, we all know what he's been through, but it's not just that. It's Mark in general. I just think of someone like him. He's such an important key guy to this team, how everybody is really pulling for him, but Mark cares about everybody else too. And just an example of Mark Fletcher, a story that I'd like to share here, a story that I made sure to get okayed by the person that told me the story, because it's their story to tell. And I will leave names out, but I definitely got the okay on it. But I just want to tell this story about Mark, just kind of the kind of guy he is. So last year, a few days prior to Mark's father's passing, a reporter lost their mother. And the reporter explained that to Mark, and the two had a good bonding experience over that, over their hardships, and, thinking of each other kind of a moment moving forward. Well, they hadn't spoken. They hadn't seen each other since this week here at the Fiesta Bowl. And when Mark saw the reporter, he remembered him, and remembered their moment. And he's like, he explained that he remembered him and just asked the reporter how they're doing, you just think about all the things and all the people Mark comes across, and just, again, all the things leading up to this game. Like I said, they hadn't seen each other in that amount of time. So, but again, another really good moment they embraced, and it just was a really touching story. But just it just really shows, again, just another example, and there's been many, and there are many, there will be many, just examples of Mark Fletcher and the type of person he is, and certainly all of his teammates are rooting for him. And look, not just rooting for him, they need him to play well. You know, it's a fun thing to watch this team, and you know, they need Mark to do well, and he's been such a key part of this team's success. And you know, Mark said it, I thought it was great the way Mark said it at Media Day, because we know Mark as this just really great, positive guy. But he, you know, and he said, you know, after that fumble against Ohio State, you know, he just kind of admitted that they got him, but he's going to bounce back. And he said, you know, I'm a dog, you know, that kind of mentality. And he absolutely is. Like, don't get it twisted about, and that's kind of some of the other guys on the team, you know, don't get it twisted by their personalities or how nice they are. These guys are great football players, and they have that dog mentality on the field, and that's what matters. And certainly, Mark's gonna need to have a good game here against Ole Miss. Here, they certainly want to rely on the running game. Like I said, though, they want to get the passing game going too. I believe that's going to be key. But just obviously, with Mark, he's such a key part, and I think it's such a big thing when a guy like him that so many guys on the team are pulling for. When he's one of your leaders, one of your focal guys, I think that just really helps the team and their success. And just, you know, certainly in big games or tough moments, you know, you need Mark. And, you know, certainly I'm looking forward to seeing how he does here at this stadium tomorrow night. They've got other guys on the team too. Look, Akeem Mesidor with what he's been through, or Keontae Scott, you know, he explained his journey. And, you know, there's other guys as well. I'll leave out a ton of names, but the journeys that these guys have been on, whether they were disregarded at their previous stops or under-regarded or whatever it might be, or coming off injuries. So many of these guys dealt with key injuries last year. So many of their key players were out last year or dealt with injuries, missed some games. So all the work that they've put in. But, you know, kind of going back to Keontae Scott, Mario Cristobal was asked about him in particular today during the coach's press conference with Pete Golding as well. And Keontae was the guy that came up, and Coach, as he has done in the past, spoke glowingly about Keontae, what he means to this team, and just how he's such a unique player. But here's Coach Cristobal talking about Keontae in his own words here. You can listen to him.
He has a very unique way about him. He's all about action. He's a man of action, backs up his words, but the time invested not only in his craft, but the time he invests in people and getting to know them, gaining their trust, being a guy that on a daily basis is going to approach everything like a true professional. It garners respect, right? And certainly a commanding presence about him. So when he backs it up on the field, and he's a guy that I love the guy. You know, I honestly think he's been one of the biggest difference makers I've ever been around in coaching.
And just lastly, before I go inside and check out the stadium, you know, I spoke about it earlier about X factors, some players to pay attention to, or who's going to step up, you know, that aren't the stars on the team, but those key role players, those guys in key positions. But also I think about the other things within a game, the situational stuff. In particular, third down. I think third down's going to be big. You know, turnovers, obviously, everybody talks about that. But third down, you know, pay attention to how these teams are performing on third down. Both these teams' offenses convert at about a 45% clip. And Miami's third down defense has been better than Ole Miss. But Ole Miss, you know, 4 of their last 7 games, they've kept teams under a 30% conversion rate. So they've been good in moments at times. And so just kind of pay attention to that. Like I said, Carson Beck is going to be paying attention and watching film on that. Certainly the rest of the team too. But just attacking and coming up with third downs. And Miami's got to continue to do a good job limiting their penalties as they've done recently, and don't want to go back to some of the issues that they had earlier in the year. So that's another thing to pay attention to. You know, field goal kicking. You know, both these teams have good field goal kickers. I think Carter Davis has a chance to bounce back after that A&M. He made a big field goal against Ohio State. And then kickoffs, Miami is one of the best teams in the country at kickoffs. So some special team stuff, it might be a wash, but certainly if somebody can get a big return or make a big play on special teams, that'd be big in a game like this. Well, I'm done here. I'm going to go inside, check out the stadium. Again, I'm going to put together a video of the stadium, so check that out. But I definitely want to thank everybody for watching these videos this week leading up to the game. It's been fun reporting on campus leading up to the game, but also here in Arizona. As I mentioned, it's just been great being here. It's just a great experience. I'm really glad to be here. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.